Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having another extension of an incredible story. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Make sure you go to the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Again, the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us out, it'd be much appreciated. Don't forget the Till Valhalla Project. They're an amazing organization. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. Like I say every time, an amazing organization. They do incredible work. And if you can help them in any way, it'd be much appreciated. You can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com.
Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
All right. So, that was the good thing he did. When I was up there at Ali Salim, I had 140. The max I had was 143 people, including myself. And I wanted 144. And I tried talking them into allowing me to have 144 people. And I got asked why. And I said, well, because 144 is 12 dozen, which is a gross. So I wanted gross as gross.
Oh my God. Nice. Yeah.
They didn't think that was appropriate, so they wouldn't let me.
That's unfortunate.
I know. So we had flown into Kuwait for my second trip, and we get there that night. We got to get our vests and our SAPI plates and all of our gear that we've got that's in theater, and everybody's standing in line. Because that's what everybody does. You stand in line to get your stuff and it takes forever. Well, I had just left there like a little over a year before. So we're across the road from the PX. So I look at my watch and I'm like, oh, the PX isn't closed yet. So all these fools are standing in line waiting to get their equipment. I take off, run across the street to the PX, grab an ice cream sandwich and a Gatorade, and I come walking back across the street, and everybody's still standing in line, but the line's shorter, and people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I just went and grabbed something to eat, and waiting to get my gear. Well, where did you get that at? Oh, the PX, it's closed, sorry.
Oh, man. So you just got there right in the nick of time then to get it.
Oh yeah, it was within the last half hour that they were open.
Yeah.
But people that I had in Nebraska as part of my unit in Nebraska had actually went on the rotation before me, so we were relieving them.
Oh, okay.
So I knew a bunch of the chiefs, a bunch of the first classes that were there, and they were like, "Sir, what are you doing here?" Well, I'm here again. So they had mandatory training that you had to get when you got into theater. So they'd take you to the big auditorium, and they would PowerPoint slide you to death. You know, the do's and don'ts of the camps in Kuwait, what you could, what you couldn't do, yada yada yada. So I had called up to the group that we were going up to, because we were going up to, like I said, Ali Salim. And we were at Arifjan getting all the training.
Right.
So I called up to Ollie and I said, hey, send us a couple of buses and a couple of trucks. Well, when? I said, about 1,300. We should be done with the mandatory training before that. So about 1,300. Like, okay. So technically you're supposed to let, the chain of command know that you're moving. You're going somewhere.
Right.
So we get done with the mandatory stuff, and I go to the armory and grab my weapon, And they're like, well, what are you doing? I said, well, we're headed up to Ollie. And we had literally got there the night before.
Yeah.
So they didn't have all the weapons checked in correctly, you know, and stuff. And I said, you need to check mine in because I'm taking it with me. Well, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Ollie. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, all the rest of the guys, I said, they're bringing people down in the vehicles, but you know, I'm not going up there without my weapon. Just not going to happen. So some of my people from my rotation are in the armory as well. And the chief looks at me and he goes, where are you going? I said, I'm taking the group that goes to Ollie. We're going up there. He goes, okay. So he signs my 9mm out to me.
Yeah.
And I said, what? Give me some ammo. And the guys who were there are like, well, we can't give you any ammunition because, you know, you're not part of the group and we haven't got you checked in yet and yada, yada, yada. So he reaches in his bag and handed me the escort ammo that he used on the way over to Kuwait from the States to Kuwait. He's like, yeah, here you go. I'm like, roger that.
Nice.
So I walk out and here's the CO. Again, the one who had originally called me.
Yeah.
And he's like, where are you going? And here's 2 buses and 2 pickups. He goes, where are you going? I said, oh, sir, didn't I tell you? Didn't I run that through you? I said, we're jumping on the buses and we're headed up to Ali Salim. We just will start the turnover. And he looks at me and he goes, you're doing what? And I go, well, getting to work. You want us to get to work, right? Well, yeah. Okay, we're out. See you later. And that was my approval. He just kind of looked at me, kind of dumbfounded, like, really?
That's pretty good.
So we jumped on the buses. We filled the buses, filled the trucks with all of our gear, and we took the trip up to Ollie.
Nice. So he literally just like, what is going on?
No clue. Never cleared it through anybody. Never let the chain of command know that was there. Never let my chain of command know until I talked to the CO and said, oh yeah, sir, we're leaving. What do you mean you're leaving? Oh yeah, we're going to the base that we're supposed to be at. We're not supposed to be here. So we're going to go get to work.
Oh my word.
Again, I don't play well with others sometimes.
You know, there's a theme that keeps popping up here, you know.
It goes all the way to the end.
I love it.
So, and it continues on today. So even after I retired, it still continues on. So we head up, we start doing our turnover. And there's a warrant officer up there that is going to be my assistant OIC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the OIC, assistant OIC. Well, again, I've already been to Kuwait. I already know kind of the layout of stuff. So we just get in and start doing turnover right away and have the outgoing group ready to go. They're ready to, hey, get out of here. So I had sent my favorite E8 up to Beering, and he was in charge of that group.
Right.
Like I said, we had a little issues with that, but did the right thing. Mm-hmm. So as we're working, we're doing customs, and we're running a couple, 200 or 300 people through in about 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that.
Wow.
So the customs group, what we were doing in Ollie was, you've been in theater for the last 6 months to a year to 15 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting ready to leave. Well, you have taken all your stuff, packed it in your sea bags, packed it in whatever you got for baggage.
Right.
And it has taken you hours to pack your stuff. Well, what they don't tell you when you're doing that is you've got to dump all your stuff for us to go through it.
Yeah, that would have been nice to know. Yeah.
So we had I forget how many inspection tables we had, but my group was I had a group that was doing the customs part, doing the inspections. I had a medical group. I had an admin group. I had a group that took care of the tents, where once you were inspected, you sat in, made sure the Gatorade and the water and Rippets and all that stuff were stocked up, the meals, everything was good. And then I had a maintenance group that we all worked together, but they all had their separate little areas.
Right.
So as we're going through, things are going smooth. Not big. I mean, we're running people through, and I get a colonel shows up, and he wants to know why it's taking so long for people to be in customs. Well, aircraft were taking off anywhere from 2,200 to about 0600. So if I've got 10 planes to fill of 300 people apiece, I've got to start way early because I can only process 200 or 300 people every 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
So you could be in there for 24 hours before you get on a plane to leave. It's physically, I can only do so much. The problem ended up being is our repacking area.
Yeah.
So there were a small number of tables to repack. I think there was one table to repack per one table for inspection.
Okay.
But one of my inspectors could run 2 inspection tables. So you would dump your stuff or your first bag on one side. I would go through it. Then I would have somebody else dumping their stuff while I was searching your first bag. And then as soon as I was done searching it, you would take your first bag and go put it on a table to repack it.
Right.
And then you would come back.
Yeah.
And I would already have the other person's stuff inspected. And I would be back for your inspection. And then back and forth. So we could inspect stuff really quick, but it would take half hour or an hour for people to repack stuff because just the nature of it. That was the bottleneck. So this colonel had just got into country, had been tasked by the by ARCENT why it was taking so long for people in customs.
Yeah.
Okay. So he comes up and he's like, why? I said, well, here's the logistics of it. And he goes, okay. I said, if you could take a plane off every 2 to 3 hours, I could fill it. And you'd have people here for a couple of hours as the first group. Once we got them inspected, they were here for a little bit so they could get their bus. They could go down to the airport and fly out. I said, it would be a streamlined process. I said, but all your aircraft take off in the middle of the night. And he's like, well, why? I said, well, there's a couple reasons. I said, fuel expands when it gets hot. And he looked at me and I said, well, if you ever taken a gas can and filled it when it was 70 degrees and capped it off, and when it's 90 degrees, it's puffed out and expanded. He's like, well, yeah. Same thing on aircraft. I said, you can't get as much volume in a tank when it's 140 degrees as you can when it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. I go, and another thing, lift. I said, aircraft doesn't have the lift at 140 degrees that it does at 100 degrees, which means I can't put as much weight on that aircraft. And he looks at me and he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's, physics, common sense. He goes, I just went to the Transcom guys and I went to the Air Force and I've talked to all these logistics people and none of them have given me this answer.
That's weird.
And I said, well, I don't know if they don't know or what, but it's physics. So he goes, well, there's going to be a meeting with the general and he wants answers. Okay, not a problem. So my CO and CSO come up to Al Yassaleen because the airbase up there at the Rock, they've got ice cream and they've got air conditioning and it's the Air Force.
Of course. Yeah.
So They come in and have lunch with me, and I haven't told my CO that, I got this invite to this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's just up here at the Rock, it won't be a big deal. Well, here comes my CO and my CSO. We have lunch, and I'm like, where are you guys going? Oh, there's this great big meeting up here at the Rock. I said, what time? Like 1300 or whatever. And I said, oh, can I get a ride with you? He looked at me and I go, what do you mean a ride with us? Well, that's the one with General so-and-so, right? Well, yeah. I said, oh, yeah, I got an invite to that. Excuse me? Yeah, I got an invite to it. So go up there and the colonel asks for my opinion on some stuff. And so I give it to him. And my CO, when we were at lunch, looks at me and looks at the CSO and he goes, or I guess it wasn't the CSO, it was the operations officer. And the one that wanted me as his assistant. And I'm like, the CEO's like, well, maybe I should just take Dan with me because he evidently knows what's going on. So we go through that meeting, and we start doing a proof of process, just to see what we can do to increase stuff. We had gotten, there was a conference call between the operations officer and all of the OICs for the different companies. Like I said, Blad, we had Ollie, we had Arif John, we had K&B. And the ops officer or somebody at the head shed had decided it would be a great idea for chest candy to send everybody that was in Kuwait. We would rotate them up to Iraq so that they were up there for 30 days and they could get their Iraqi campaign medal.
Oh, okay.
And then rotate them back.
Right.
And so he's on this conference call and nobody thinks it's a good idea except for him.
Okay.
So we get off the conference call. All the other OICs call me. We start another conference call and they call me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, this is a bad idea. You're right. It's a bad idea. We're not going to do it. But ops said we were. Yeah, we're not. I'll take care of it. So the next day I jump in a truck and I go down to Ollie or down to Arif John. And the CSO is next door. And I've had my issues with the CSO. He is a merchant marine. So we have designated him as Thunder Chicken for his little warfare device. Right. So I've got supply corps officers and a Thunder Chicken. It's great. Okay. So I walk into ops and I shut the door behind me. And I'm like, yeah, your idea of us all going to Iraq and sending people to Iraq, we're not going to do it. Well, what do you mean? We're not going to do it. It's dumb. I said, we're trying to get more people out of here than we've got in theater. And you're wanting to slow the process down so we have to retrain people to do this stuff. I said that the personnel inspections are easy. I said, but the, doing the tanks, doing the Abrams, doing the rolling stock, so that's much harder to inspect because they've got all these creases and crevices and stuff. And how do you train these guys that have been doing passengers? I said, it's taken 30 days to train the guys doing the equipment. So he doesn't agree with me. He thinks we need to send him up there. We decide not to. And I go back because I just told him, I'm like, we're not going to do it. It's dumb.
Yeah.
So, and I leave. Well, the CO liked Cuban cigars.
Yeah.
The ops officer evidently liked Cuban cigars, but I never took him any. So as we were getting them from contraband, I would show up at headquarters with a couple of stogies and hand them to the CO. And I'm like, make sure those get burned. He's like, not a problem. We'll make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Ops caught me in there giving him cigars one day, and he was like, where are mine at? I'm like, well, I have no idea where yours are at. He got a little upset. Oh, well. So the next day, after I told the the ops officer that we weren't going to do a little trip to Iraq, the CSO calls me and is like, "Hey, did you have a problem? Was there a problem yesterday?" I said, "No, there wasn't any problem." "Why?" He goes, "Well, it sounded kind of loud, and we were in tents for the headquarters. They had moved us from the Puzzle Palace in Zone 1 or in Erfjan down to Zone, I think it was Zone 5 or something. When I was there the first time, moving the Navy out of the head shed at where Arcent was at and moving them down to this other location was a project that we had come up with to move everybody down into one area.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It had come to fruition while we were gone, or while I was gone, and everybody was living down there, or working and stuff down there. So all good. He calls me and he's like, "Well, what happened?" And I'm like, "He had a dumb idea," and I told him no. Well, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's not going to happen." So we go on and we start doing these proof of concepts on trying to get people through easier and quicker and faster. I go up to Camp Virginia and had looked at some of the tents they had up there.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had senior officers upset because they had to set in customs at Ali Al Salim for up to a day. And they wanted to do this stuff somewhere else, so they didn't have to be sequestered for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I go up, find a tent that's halfway big enough. It would take longer to get them through there than it would to come through where we were at, that we already had it set up at. But, I went up, looked at it, took some of my guys up, we looked, and came up with a timeline on what it would take. So we go to a meeting with my boss at the airport and the general, and there was a lieutenant colonel that was in charge of all the transient personnel up there at Ali Al Salim. And so her and I were sitting next to each other, and I'm at the table. Again, I'm the junior person at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Should I say something?" She's like, yeah, go ahead. So as the general's getting ready to finish up, I raised my hand and I'm like, "Sir, before you leave, I've already looked at a tent up at Virginia, and we can do this, but there's going to be some problems we're going to have and things we're going to need to do." And he just looked at me. He's like, "All right, well, you keep going." "Roger that, sir." So we were doing how we were going to move people and stuff. And I ended up looking at my footprint and said, "Hey, if we move the x-ray machines," because when you would come in for customs, you'd bring your bag in, run it through an x-ray machine to make sure it wasn't an explosive. Then, before we go through your bag, we're going to make sure there's no explosives, or if there's rounds or whatever, at least we know.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a grenade, we'd have to make it all stop and evacuate everything, figure out what was going on, bring EOD down, go through all of that. It was a cluster.
Wow.
So we're just, again, making sure that, things are good. So I said, if we could put these in a tent next to our tent, we could inspect those sooner. Then we could take the tables where the hallway was and our x-ray machine area was. We could take our inspection tables and open that up, which we could double our repacking tables.
Ooh, yeah.
The choke point. So I go to one of the meetings and I'm like, "Hey, sir, this is what we need." And he just looked at me and goes, "Make it happen." And told my boss, "Make it happen. I don't care what it takes, make it happen." So we had the Seabees cranking out tables for us. They brought them all down to us. Very, very minimal on cost. And we doubled our repacking area and ended up reducing our time way down.
Wow.
So what would take us 3 hours, we could do in an hour and a half.
That's a good, I mean, what? Cut in half, basically.
Basically cut in half.
Yeah.
Because before, the senior enlisted would be standing there screaming at all the junior enlisted that were repacking their stuff. Hurry up, get it done, get it done, which you're not going to move any faster.
Yeah, true.
You can only move so fast. And your give a damn is gone because you're headed home. So, we moved the X-ray machines, and that tent was actually started out as the bus tent to go between bases. They had a bus that would come up and pick you up and take you down to Ali Salim or wherever. And so I basically acquired that tent from the Army, which did not make the lieutenant colonel that was in charge of the camp very happy.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, how are you going to, we don't have any money for supplies to redo the format or the footprint in here to get your tents in there. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. So I reached out to the Seabees, and being kind of a jack of all trades myself, I was like, well, if we just cut these walls at the base, we can move the whole wall with the drywall and everything on them. Then we don't need very much drywall to fix stuff. We need to patch a few spots in, but it won't be a big deal. So got hold of the Seabees. It may have taken some Rippets, some Gatorade, and some cookies, but they came down with supplies, and we knocked it out in like a day and a half.
Nice.
Then moved the X-ray machines, got that all set up in a couple more days, and we were running people through this other route within a couple days.
Wow.
Then we got the repacking tables, and it was amazing how fast we could run people through there.
Right. Just a couple of small changes, and you're cutting time in half, which is incredible.
Yeah, and they were trying to get us to figure out how long it would take to get everybody in theater out. And I was like, if I'm running at full force, 24/7, and you've got planes to get these people out of here, I gave them like a few months that it would take us. But at the time, at the way we were doing it at the time, it would have taken a year. And it dramatically shortened the amount of time it would take to get people out. So we did that. I acquired a couple of berthing trailers that we ended up cutting up. So there was like 3 rooms in these trailers, and the frame had gotten bent. So, oh my gosh, we can't let people live in them because the frame's bent. So I had acquired them through the Army because they were like, well, I don't know what we're going to do with these. These are just sitting here. So we had them trucked down to Ollie, and they put them on trailers. Well, we didn't have a way of moving the trailers. So the place we needed them for the crane to come over and move these trailers.
Okay.
So allegedly, some individuals who may or may not have been associated with me were able to acquire a truck that was on base and move the trailers over. And then I go, where did the truck come from? They're like, oh, yeah, sir, don't worry about that. Again, junior people taking care of seniors.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt. Nothing happened. Everything got put back where it was supposed to. But we got these 2 trailers, and my guys they're about a foot apart. We set them down so they were about a foot apart. My guys looked at me and they said, what are we going to do with these? I said, well, the X-rays that are in the next tent, we're going to move those into this. And they're like, what are you talking about? So we got some 2x4s, we got some 4x4s, and I drew out the plan. We took some Sawzalls and started cutting walls out of these trailers, and basically made a double wide.
Oh, okay.
And then ran the next X-ray machine in there. Well, then we had another tent that was now open that we could use for housing people if we needed to. Again, consolidating the footprint and consolidating what we needed to work with and opening up what we needed to get people through there. I had a E7, a very educated E7 that worked for me, that found out that I didn't have a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I went through the Seaman to Admiral program and I got my commission, I made it all the way to 05 without a degree.
Yeah.
And this guy had like a master's and a couple masters. He was a teacher. And so he was very well educated.
Right.
And I would tell him, hey, we need to do this. And he just didn't, we didn't talk the same language.
Mm-hmm.
He had almost had a revolution, a mutiny with the guys, because he was put in charge of the PAX people, or the people doing the inspections, when he first got there. It went through the day shift, the night shift, kind of thought everything out, thought he had an idea of how it was supposed to work,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't. So I got up one morning and went to work, and I went into the DFAC to get something to eat for breakfast. And a bunch of my night guys are sitting there pissed. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? And they're like, nothing, sir. And I'm like, something's wrong. Come on. And I had my chief with me, and we're sitting there talking, and we're like, what's the deal? What's going on? Finally, somebody fesses up that he had went in and told him that the amnesty people that we had, that were literally just to grab stuff, and if there was a question, they were just to be the tiebreaker on, right, was the stuff supposed to be, was it okay to go or not? And so this E7 told him that, oh, well, they've got the last word. You guys work for them. So everybody that was doing the inspections basically got told they had no say-so in anything. And they were pissed. I can't say for sure, but I think there was rumors of where they were going to hide the body.
Oh God.
It was bad. It was bad. So ended up getting the day shift and the night shift together, talked to this E7, and was like, what the heck's going on? And he gave me his side of it, and he was 180 degrees out, completely backwards of what should happen. So once we had that conversation, we were doing burger burns to make money for MWR. So giving the people that were in the customs area something else to eat besides a Jimmy Dean meal or an MRE or something. And so we're making pretty decent money with that. So we spent, I don't know, $1,000, something like that, on pizzas and stuff, so that I could get everybody together and squash the problem.
Makes sense.
We got that squashed. Everything went smooth after that. Through changing of everything. After we got all the changes done as far as the packing tables and all of that, we ended up getting people through there pretty quick. It was nice. I ended up changing. We had 2 12-hour shifts. So we had a day shift and a night shift. And the leadership for the day shift was the same as the leadership for the day shift the entire time. And the leadership for the night shift was the same as it was for the entire time. Well, as you know, you train your junior people to take your job.
Right.
Well, if there wasn't any leadership opportunities, they were ants doing the same thing day in and day out. Didn't have any chance to do anything on their evaluations to make them look better. So I ended up changing it to 4 12-hour shifts. So if you came in at 1800, 1800 to midnight, you were in charge.
Oh, I see what you did. Yeah.
And then at midnight, the people that came in at midnight to 06 or to noon, from midnight to 06, they were in charge. And the people who had come in at 1800 at midnight, they became inspectors.
Right.
So I doubled the amount of leadership, because you were rotating every 6 hours from a leadership to just a grunt. And I didn't care if you were an E6 that had been in charge. You were that second 6 hours, you were checking bags.
Yeah.
And it upped morale. it gave the people more time off because we had doubled the inspection area or the repacking area. So again, these guys would be scheduled for a 3-hour window. An hour and a half to 2 hours in, my inspections were already done. And we were just waiting on people to repack. So my inspectors didn't need to stand there.
Yeah.
So
go sit down, relax. Yeah.
They could go sit down, relax, go back to their rooms for a little bit and come back, but they had more downtime. They were getting more stuff done and still having more downtime. If somebody wanted to take college courses that you could take over there on base.
Yeah.
Now, if they were on the night shift, they weren't allowed really to take college courses because they had to be up during their nighttime to study and go to class. Well, when I put you on a 12-hour shift, but I can move you 6 hours forward or 6 hours back instead of a complete 12-hour shift.
Yeah.
It was much easier for people to get things done. Morale went through the roof. And through process was just through the roof as well.
Interesting. I mean, that's a really cool concept of what, the way you kind of split it up, and alternating them in and out. It gives everybody an opportunity.
And you could get more leadership because those people that were just inspecting bags, now they had 6 hours they were in charge.
Yeah.
And it took some time to do the transition to train them up to where they needed to be, but that was fine. We had the time.
Right.
So yeah, it was good for the group. Anytime I would make a big change, whether it was the repacking, whether it was the changing of a 12-hour shift into 2 12 hours to 4 12 hours, regardless of what I did, I would find my biggest complainer. And I would bring them into the office and I'd have my idea drawn up on a whiteboard. And I'd have already run it through the chiefs, run it through my assistant OIC. And like, hey, what do you guys think? And they would come up with their pros and cons. And then I would get, like I said, my biggest complainer and I would bring them in.
Right.
I'm like, okay, what are the pros and cons? And they would look at it and it's like, well, this would be a problem. Okay, how are we going to fix that problem? So before I ever implemented it, I got buy-in from multiple people who were actually doing the work on how to change things. Now, depending on your environment, there are times that leadership says, go through that door. And you don't have a choice but to go through that door.
Right.
Knowing what's on the other side. However, if there's time and you have time to have a conversation ahead of time, you bounce it off some of the junior people. Even if you go through that door this time and you go back and you have a conversation later of, I know there wasn't time to go through this, but what are your thought processes the next time we go through that door?
Right.
So that they get buy-in, because I'm sorry, the officer that is going by the book is an idiot in most cases because they're going by the book and they're not the ones doing the job day in and day out.
Right.
So if you have time, if you have the ability to sit down with juniors and get their buy-in, it will make things go so much smoother.
Yeah. And very important though. Getting the buy-in and having everyone, and then like you were saying, I always call them the turds, right? If you get the turds buy-in, then nobody else will want to argue it because, hey, the biggest complainer is the one, like, he's up for it. He's like, yeah, this is good.
And they've got ownership.
Yeah.
So because they can bounce ideas off of me of we think this is going to be a problem. Okay, how are we going to fix that? And when they get that buy-in, it's night and day difference.
Oh yeah.
Because now it's ownership. And again, it's something that, I've done since day one is if you've got time to have a conversation with your junior people, if you've only been an officer and you only want to stay on that side and you talk to the junior officers, as you get more senior, you may have more experience of doing it, but they're actually doing it today. So
Yeah.
what has changed from the time you were doing it until today?
Yeah, that's very true. Because I mean, look at how fast things develop.
Oh, technology is crazy.
yeah. So of course that somebody later down the road has newer technology or better ways to do it. So why not utilize that?
Yeah. My senior, my ops officer, and my CO, their idea was basically to take everything through a scanner, and instead of scanning the people, you would scan the people like they had the new X-rays in the airports,
Mhm.
where you stand there, put your hands up, and it goes
Yeah.
around you. They wanted that to do that for the people and for the bags. And I'm like, okay, but you still need to do a certain percentage of bags to make sure nothing got through. And we weren't looking just for explosives. We were looking for sand, for dirt.
Mm.
Um, did you have a map that had
Yeah.
coordinates on it? If you could take a map back with you, but it couldn't have any markings on it where bases were, where anything had happened. Because if it gets into the wrong hands, now they're able to take a look at that. They're able to see where stuff is at, where it was.
Mhm.
So again, there were certain things that you couldn't get through customs. You couldn't take anything that had dirt, sand. You couldn't take any pornography.
Mhm.
No alcohol, because you weren't supposed to have it there in the first place.
Makes sense.
You couldn't take weapons back.
Yeah.
If you got an AK off of somebody and you thought you were going to take that back, well, you couldn't take it back.
Yeah. Sometimes they, back in the day, they used to be able to do that.
Right.
no big
Absolutely.
deal, But
Absolutely. But they cut down on it. Now, did stuff still get back in containers? At times, people had stuff hid really good and things got back.
yeah.
And there was ways of doing it to get paperwork to say, oh, yeah, this is fine. You can take it back.
Yeah.
Just like you couldn't take a round back or a piece of shrapnel back unless it was your piece of shrapnel. So if you got hit by a piece of shrapnel or a round and you went into surgery and they took it out and you got that back, if you had paperwork on it, you could take that back.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
Because it was a life-changing event for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't just take it back and say, oh, well, this happened to me. You had to have the paperwork from medical stating that it was you and all of that.
Interesting. Okay.
I
didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. And there were things you could take back as long as you had the paperwork. You could take a round back if it was inert and EOD had signed off that it was an inert round.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Air Force guy, junior Air Force kid, that had decided to get one of his senior people pull the pin or take a number grenades
Yeah.
on the wall, say, take a number, and it was your complaint department or whatever. He decided to take that back. And
oh my God.
as we had a couple individuals that were great doing the briefings, and they would tell you what you could and couldn't take back.
Yeah.
And this one, he was from down south. He was great. He pushed the limits a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Arkansas, and he would do his briefings as, this is according to 1 Bravo. Alcohol and pornography are not allowed. So, boobs and butts are okay. Sausage and tacos are not.
Nice.
Okay. Everybody knew exactly what he was talking about. There was no question.
Yeah.
He would always come to me when there was a senior officer, especially a female officer going through with the group. He would come to me. He's like, sir, I might be in trouble. I'm like, why? He said, I gave my brief this morning. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the heat. Not a problem. And they would all of them would laugh. They'd be like, okay. And then he would throw in there, he goes, and that means those from Arkansas, family pictures are included in that. Just because it's a family member, he said, and I can say that because I'm from Arkansas.
That's good.
So yeah, that deployment was really good. Did a lot of good stuff.
And that was another, how long were you there? 7 months, 8 months?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my second loss. So November 19th, one of the PMOs from up at Beering, they were headquartered in Beering, but they were down. I mean, every day you would have somebody coming through with a laptop that had a secret sticker on it, a Game Boy, an Xbox, because your buddy thought it was funny, and secret stickers ran rapid. You know, there was no, you didn't have to have anything to have a secret sticker. They were just laying on the desk. So these guys would take a secret sticker and slap it on an Xbox or,
What?
oh yeah, but they had hard drives.
Okay.
So because they had hard drives, they fit under the criteria of, unless it was vetted, you couldn't take it back. So we always had the PMOs down there, and Petty Officer Patton was one of them that was there constantly, and we joked back and forth about all the stupid stuff we would find in our amnesty boxes, and so he was on his way down to, I believe, Camp Virginia. Had just come back from his R&R back in the States, and had come back. Him and another one were headed from Beering down to Virginia. There was a convoy headed north into Iraq, and there was a contractor that decided he didn't want to run with the convoy.
Okay.
So ended up Patton and his passenger were headed south. The contractor was headed north. They ended up seeing each other. They went to swerve. You know, Patton went to go off into the desert to get away from him. At the same time, the contractor decided to do the same thing, and they hit head on and killed him.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So that was my second loss. Second deployment, second loss.
Jeez.
And again, Patton wasn't one of my guys, but I considered him one of my guys because we almost a daily basis we were talking. You know, he'd go a couple days maybe in between, but he was another sailor.
Holy cow. So
again, right before Thanksgiving, my Christmas and New Year's sucked because of my first deployment. I got, right before Thanksgiving, I literally gotten an AmCross 2 days before, stating that my grandfather had passed away. He passed away on the 17th. And he didn't fall into the criteria for emergency leave. And even if he did, I don't think I would have went home.
Right.
I was there taking care of my people.
Right.
And that was my job. So we had a lot of AmCrosses come in. That was the worst thing, especially during that rotation, because you get an AmCross at 2:00 in the morning. I would go wake my chief up. We would go find the person, take him back to the office, and I'd set him down. I'd let him know what was going on, and hand him a phone card. Again, with the phone cards, I was like, here, call. Spend as much time on the phone. You need another card. You're good. I don't care how long it takes. Deal with it. And then we would get them on a plane, usually the next day, to get out of theater and get home to take care of whatever needed to take care of. So everybody saw that I actually cared about them. And again, they would do anything for me. And it was great. Had a whole ton of people from Puerto Rico. It was like the Reserve Center in Puerto Rico must have been empty. I think they were all there. And I had I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but it was plus 50 of the 140 that I had were Hispanic from Puerto Rico, it seemed like.
Wow.
And I worked days, but it didn't matter. I would go in the middle of the night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and go over and just check on people. And I would walk through. And here's the guy that's in charge. And I would walk over during a group coming through, checking their bags. And I would just walk up to an inspection table. And everybody would look at me and like, what are you doing here, sir? And I'm like, move over. Well, what? I said, I got this table. I said, I went through the same training you did, right? Well, yeah. I said, I can inspect, right? Well, yeah. Okay. So I would literally just take an inspection table and start inspecting stuff.
Yeah.
And anytime they saw me do that, they would find somebody in line and put like an inort mortar round in their bag and then send that specific person to me to see what I would do.
Yeah.
And by that time, I would they would start going through stuff and I would move clothes and stuff. And here'd be this round. And I'd say, oh, thanks. And I'd take it and set it off to the side. And Amnesty'd come up and, well, sir, what are you doing? I said, well, you put it in there. I know you guys put it in there. So we're not even going to just stop. Just behave yourselves. So, yeah, we would do that. During that rotation, I got my first EO complaint, which happened to be from the E8 that I said we shouldn't take in the first place.
Okay.
He was Hispanic. He put an EO complaint in that I was racist against all Hispanics except for him.
You were racist to all Hispanics except for him.
Except for him. Now, it came out that we were doing evaluations and doing rankings for our E6 and below. And our E6s were doing the rankings for our E5s and E4s. And we had told all the khakis, the E7 and above, to stay out of the in the ranking area. So he showed up to the ranking area, and miraculously, all of his people ended up at the top of the ranking.
Yeah.
So when I went through, I saw this and I'm like, this isn't right. You know, all of his people were at the top. All of the people that were in admin and were in the office that you saw every day, they were all ranked at the top. So I go back through and re-rank everybody. And I went by the write-ups in their evaluations and the jobs that they did. Didn't care that they were inspecting bags, because the guys inspecting bags were just as important as the guys in admin doing paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the ones watching the individuals once they had gone through and they were in our quote unquote freedom area. They'd already been inspected and they were just sitting there. It didn't matter what job they had, how were they doing at it? So I get this phone call from the head shed that says, hey, you got an EO complaint. I go, okay, what is it? They tell me. I'm like, all right, we're going to give you your advocate. All right. So our reliefs had just gotten there, at least the first wave of them. So they pick one of the officers that's in the new group that, again, doesn't know anybody. So completely unbiased. You can't say that they had anything to gain because they knew me. Nothing. They come in. This gal comes in, and I think her job, civilian job, was she worked at the IG office doing EO complaints.
Okay.
So it was a perfect fit. Somebody that did this on the outside, and she came in, and all of a sudden she's doing IG complaints on the inside on active duty. So she goes through, she evaluates, she questions everybody. All 140 some people I got working for me. And she had a 3-inch 3-ring binder.
Okay.
And when she came in, so the back of the binder's, 3 inches, and the front of the binder looked like Pac-Man. It was probably at least 6 inches tall. And she comes in, she goes, can I talk to you? Yeah, that's your job. What do you need? And she looks at me, she goes, how do you do it? How do I do what? And she goes, I've done a lot of IG complaints. I've never seen one like this. And I go, okay. She goes, I've interviewed everybody, and you have one person that had anything bad to say about you. Out of the entire command, one person. And I said, okay, was it like a racial thing? She's like, oh, no. Nothing to do with race. Okay. She goes, I can't tell you who it was, and I can't give you too many details, but she said, you told somebody to shut their mouth and get their ass back to work. And I said, oh, that was so-and-so. And it was on or around this time frame, and it was 140 out, and nothing was working in the tents, and it was hot, and we had a group coming through, and he was complaining because it was hot, and I told him to shut his mouth, get his ass back to work, grab a Gatorade or a water, and get back to work. And she looked at me dumbfounded. She goes, that is almost word for word what he said you told him. And I'm like, because it was the truth. I'm not lying about it. That's what happened. And I said, well, does he have a problem with me? And she's like, no, actually the opposite. He said he would follow you anywhere and do anything you wanted. But you hurt his feelings that day. Like, I hurt his feelings. Yes. Okay. So, she goes, yeah, there's nothing to substantiate that you're racist at all. She said, in fact, as I would ask people, hey, is Commander Gross, would you consider him racist? She goes, the Hispanics were far and above. Are you kidding? Commander Gross racist? What is your problem? So that got dropped. Well, we had to go down for the out briefing, and this E8 was there with his advocate, and I was there with my advocate, and the CO and the XO and the whole head shed was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, they told him, they said, well, there's nothing to substantiate this. And he's like, well, I'm going to take this to the admiral. I want to take it up to the next level. And I looked at him and I'm like, absolutely. You want to take this to the admiral? Knock yourself out. Let's do it. As soon as that leaves, I'm going to file a report for harassment. And there's the whole thing, you can't go back and charge somebody or reciprocate.
Like double jeopardy or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well, you can't. If since how I was charged, I can't go back and show, knock his stuff down because he charged me with this.
Right.
And I'm like, well, but it's already been gone through by a completely independent person that there was nothing there. I go, so, if you do that, now you're harassing me. I said, if the CO would have called me in and said, hey, there's something here, we need to have a conversation, we're going to do a counseling session instead of taking it up further, then there was at least one person that sided with you. Right. I go, but there was 0 people that sided with you. And you said I was only racist against them, not you. So what he agreed upon, or what the command agreed upon, was to give him a Army Achievement Medal. And if he got an Army Achievement Medal out of the deployment, he wouldn't take it up any further.
Really?
And the CO looked at me and he goes, well, what are your thoughts? And I said, no, he doesn't deserve it. I said, I wouldn't even give him a letter of calm for his actions during this deployment. And the CO and XO and the head shed decided that they were going to give him an Army Achievement Medal to make it go away. I said, run it up to the admiral. I don't care.
Wow.
Because I'm not guilty. Didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, when I gotten that letter, that information that I'd gotten charged with this, I went down to the CB compound, and there was a full-bird captain down there. I walked in, I knocked on his door and went in. And he's like, what can I help you with? I said, sir, I got a question. He's like, okay. Because looked at him, I said, so I got charged with an EO complaint. Looks at me, he goes, did you do it? No, I didn't. And he goes, welcome to command. You'll have more of those. He said, if you stay in command, you'll have more of those. It'll happen. Okay.
So true.
Yeah. And it was crazy. I did get right after that, I guess that was still going on. And I got a call from my head shed, from my CSO. And he's like, you need to come down here to Arifjan. Okay. He goes, we need to talk to you. Okay. So jump in a truck, take the Master Chief. We head down there. And we get there, and him, the XO, and this other commander that was there, which is a great guy, Mick Mortimer. I'll put his name out there. He was a New York City cop.
Okay.
And he was a gang squad cop. And I asked him one day, I said, Mick, what do you do? And he goes, well, my job is to get out and chase skinny people through backyards so that the cruiser the squad car can pick them up 3 blocks down. Like, roger that, Mick.
That's awesome.
So they brought me down. I go into the building, and they sat down with me. I got the CSO, the XO, and Mick. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, we've had another complaint. I said, okay, from who? Oh, from the same person. They couldn't get me on being for equal opportunity, so he was going to get me for harassment or something. I forget what it was. And I wasn't nice. And they looked at me and said, well, you need to be nicer.
Interesting. Okay.
And I looked at him. I go, what do you mean I need to be nicer? Well, you need to be nicer. Okay, explain. Well, do you want to make it to the next level? Now, here I am in 04.
Yeah.
No degree. Not looking at making 05. But do you want to make it to the next level? And I go, well, let me ask you a question. They're like, okay. I said, are we technically in a combat zone? Well, yeah. Okay. Am I technically on active duty in a combat zone? Well, yeah. Okay. So my job is to train my junior people, to bring them forward, to do a job to the best of our ability and take them home to their loved ones and their family. Well, yeah. I said, I don't need to be nicer. I don't care if people like me or not. If they respect me to do their job and know that I have their back, I don't need to be nicer. I don't care if they like me or not.
Yeah.
I go, but this being my second deployment, I said, you'd be surprised on how soon I could fill a deployment full of people by people that have walked up to me and said, hey, sir, if you're ever going anywhere and you need somebody to go with you, call me and we will go with you. We don't care where you're going. We don't care what you're doing. Call us and we'll go with you. And as a junior person to come up to a senior officer and say that's shows that they trust you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We Army Navy game day came around during that deployment, and the head shed for the base was a National Guard unit out of Wyoming.
Okay.
And the lieutenant colonel that was in charge, the camp commander, was a reservist National Guard guy from Oklahoma.
Okay.
And your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And we had our differences, but we got along for the most part. And he's the one that had the tent that I took, so he's kind of upset about that. And then I took another building that he had, but Army Navy Day came around, and that's the day that everybody messes with each other.
Yeah.
Just because it's what we do. So I get up in the morning, I walk out, I'm facing the command cell, and allegedly somebody went over that night and had taken the Army flag down at the command cell and put the Navy flag above the Army flag and then ran them both up the flagpole. So the Navy flag was above the Army flag, and then latched it to the flagpole and put a padlock on it.
Oh, God. Now that's funny.
That's hilarious. So I laugh about it, go take a shower, get ready, go in. And a little bit later, here comes some of the guys from the command cell over to my office, a couple of the junior guys. And they come running in, they're like, where's the flag at now, sir? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Where's it at now? So I walk outside, and here's an Army flag zip tied to my fence, to my gate.
Okay.
I walk over, take my knife, pop my knife out, cut the zip ties. I look at the guy that's standing watch on the gate, supposed to be making sure nobody goes in or out, right?
Yeah.
And I go, did you allow this? Well, yes, sir. I go, if it happens again, you're going to hate your life. I'm just telling you right now. You're going to hate your life. And I take the Army flag and I wad it up, stick it under my arm, and I walk away. And these guys are like, what are you doing with the flag? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's mine now. So I go find some of my colorful individuals.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at him and I pull his flag out, hand it to him, and I go, all right, I want this flag flying upside down on a shitter truck before the end of the day. And they're like, upside down. I said, upside down on a shitter truck.
Oh my
If you
God.
don't find out what's going to cost me, I'll pay it.
Upside
So-
down on the shitter truck.
They're like, okay. So they take off. And honey wagons run around and got TCNs driving the honey wagons.
Yeah.
The third country national. So they're like, okay, whatever. So we got hold of CBs in the meantime, and they bring one of the rough terrain forklifts down that extend way out.
Uh-huh.
And we put an American flag on a pole on a broomstick above the forks, and they take the Navy flag and they hang it across the forks underneath the American flag. But
Uh-huh.
the boom on the forklift will go higher than the flagpole at the command cell. And we can't put a Navy flag above the American flag at the command cell, but we can if there's an American flag above it.
Okay.
Because the American flag's always got to be the highest.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we go over in front of the command cell. We do this. They drive it over in front of the command cell and start extending it. And one of the corporals comes running out. Yeah, I think it was corporal. I forget. It was a E4. I forget.
Yeah.
Army. But anyway.
Well, so it's either spec 4 or corporal. Just depends on
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
which route
Yeah.
they go.
but so he comes running and grabs the Navy flag and rips it off of the forks and rolls on the ground with it. Now my chief jumps on top of him, and my chief is like 5'4", was a submarine guy, great guy. He was my junior chief there, and I put him in charge as a senior enlisted that I had. I went to him for everything.
You know, to be 5'4" is an advantage as a submariner.
It is.
Yeah.
He was an electrician, little bubblehead.
Uh-huh.
So him and the other guy are rolling around on the ground, and we're all laughing because nobody's mad at each other. We're not fighting. We're having a little tussle because of what happened in front of us, but nobody's upset.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
here comes Lieutenant Colonel around the corner. Commander Gross, I need to speak with you. So I looked at him, and they're both rolling around on the ground. I'm like, stop. Dad's upset. Let me go find out what's going on. So they stop. They stand up. They look at each other. They dust each other off. And I go over and I talk to him, and he's like, we're done. There's no more of this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So he goes, well, evidently you guys in the Navy have too much time on your hands. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, the flag on the command cell this morning, now this. And I go, sir, it's the Army Navy game day. It is the day of the year that we are supposed to harass each other. I said, nobody's upset with each other. Nobody's mad. We're not fighting. It's just, we're blowing off steam. So I walk back and I tell him, okay, knock it off. Dad's upset. We can't do this anymore. Okay. So like 2 hours later, I get a email from the CO with a picture of a shitter truck with an upside down Army flag on the back of it.
Oh no. You forgot about that.
And he's pissed. He's like, I thought I told you none of this was going to happen anymore. I said, oh, sir, that started like hours before, the other part. You guys just found it. So every year since, for Army Navy game day, I always send him that picture.
Oh my God. That's priceless.
And again, we weren't mad at each other. We were just blowing off steam. Something to do. And I think next day was the National Guard birthday or something. So we're all sitting in the DFAC eating, and he comes in and we're like, oh, hey, happy birthday, sir. And by the way, that was a great game last night. You guys lost yet again.
Oh man, that's too good.
So yeah. There was that. There was the little gal that was the little colonel that was or lieutenant colonel that was in charge of all the transient personnel I told you about.
Yeah.
She calls me one night and she's like, hey, where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm here. What do you need? She's like, I need you over here at my office. Okay. So I bebop over there and I get there and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, there's a general coming. Okay. Well, this general was leaving the next day and he was upset, or 2 days, I think it was 2 days away, but he was upset that his people were going to have to set in customs for an extended period of time. Well, we had the R&R birds that were going back and we had other groups that were coming back. So his was worked in there, but there was a certain time that we did the R&R birds that they had to be at this time. That was their spot every day. Boom. And his group was leaving it like one of the first flights out that night. So we had to have them there early so that they could go through the process. We could get them done before we had other stuff scheduled. It's just the way the schedule worked. So I go over and me and her stand there talking. And she's kind of nervous that this general's coming down. Mm-hmm. I could care less. And she goes, well, he was upset. He called and talked to one of her lieutenants earlier in the day and just chewed this lieutenant out. That his people were going to have to be in customs and that was unacceptable. And we needed to figure something out for him. Okay. So when she tells me this, I called the chief and I'm like, hey, chief, you got the flight manifest, flight schedule for the next couple days? He goes, yeah, I got it for the whole week. I'm like, can you bring it over here? Well, sure. So here he comes. And she's like, what are you going to do? I said, well, if the general wants to be a jerk, I'm just going to walk down to the far end here where they do all the manifests and we're going to bump his whole flight like 2 days to the right. I don't care. You are not. I'm like, oh yeah, I am. So he gets there and hey sir, how you doing? What would you like? Oh, I want to go through this inspection area. Absolutely. So I'll give him a tour of the whole facility. Mm-hmm. So we start and we're outside, we get to the inside and this idiot takes his cover off and holds it behind him. Let me get my hand here so you can see it. Hold my hand and just flails it back and forth. And one of his junior officers runs up and grabs his cover for him. And I'm like, absolutely not. The game has now just changed and now I'm pissed.
Oh man.
So
that's crazy.
Right. It's like, here, come get it. And I'm like, no, we're not playing this game. So
oh my God.
We start going through, and at that point, my filter has gone.
Yeah.
I'm done with my filter. And I said, well, sir, we bring your stuff over here. We put it in this area. We come over here and we bring you in and we start inspecting. Well, this needs to be done. And he said something and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said, fuck. And the lieutenant colonel was with me, looked at the chief and goes, did he really just say that to the general? And chief looked at her and goes, yeah, he did. I guess all all filters are gone at this point. So we go through the whole inspection area and we get to the end. He's like, well, this needs to be moved to this other camp and yada, yada. He starts going through this whole rant. And I said, sir, that would be perfect. I said, could you get a hold of somebody with the FAA and make sure that we can get planes over here to take off like every 2 hours? I said, then it would make this process a whole lot shorter because we could have these people inspected. We could have them on a plane and, it wouldn't take any time at all. I said, do you have the pull to do that? I said, maybe you can change the atmosphere to where, it's cooler so we can take people off all the time. I said, or I said, we could move this up to Camp Virginia where you guys were at for a couple days. I go, but the Kuwaitis are funny. I said, they've got 6 months to say yes or no on a project if we're going to do something in the desert. I said, even though it's desert, if we're going to put a tent up, it's got to go through Kuwaiti approval. They have to sign off on it. I said, and if we're going to put anything permanent down, like, imagine that, like concrete floors, so that, the dirt doesn't get in the stuff that we just inspected and then make you guys get re-inspected when you get back to the States. We've got to pay Kuwait for putting concrete on their soil. And they got like 6 months to look at it and then decide if they want to do it. And then they can tell you that the plans didn't work. So you need to redraw the plans up, which takes more time. And then they've got another 6 months. I said, by the time all of that happens, we can have everybody in Iraq out of here, going by the process we're going through right now. We'll just say he wasn't happy about that because I started talking down to him like, oh, sir, could you really do this for me? Oh, this would be amazing. You've got that much pull. Oh, I would really like that. And Lieutenant Colonel, she's like, you really just did that to him? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did. I don't care. So as we get back to his vehicles, his entourage, one of the junior officers come running up to us with a coin for him or from him. And I'm like, what's this for? Oh, well, he just wants to say thank you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't even know where that coin's at anymore. And I was like, what a jerk.
That's so messed up, man.
Yeah. And to prove that I may have been playing on the side of the edgy side, my chief, right after I got there, had come into my office and he goes, hey, sir, do you have another blouse? You have an extra blouse? I'm like, well, yeah, why? Well, can I have it? Well, why do you want it? Well, can I have it? I go, what are you going to do? Now I had made 04 in between deployments. So I had taken all my lieutenant bars off and put my oak leaf on. And he goes, well, I want to take one and I want to go down and have a set of bars put on it. So I go, well, just a minute. I reached in a bag I had and I'm like, well, here, just take a set that I had that were on it originally and just go put them on there. Really? I'm like, yeah. So he takes it down to the Haji shop, the sewing shop, and has him stitch my lieutenant bars back on. Then he takes it and presses it and starches it.
All right.
So when he brings it back, I hang it on my wall behind my desk. Now, the CO, my 06, and the command master chief walk in one day, and they're sitting there. They're going to head up north to see people at Balad or wherever. And the master chief looks at me, sitting on my desk or sitting on the couch. He looks at me and he goes, so can I ask a question? I'm like, well, yeah, master chief, what do you got? He goes, why do you have a blouse with your previous rank on it hanging behind you on your wall? I said, well, God, Master Chief, I left this country like that once. I might just do it again. He looks at the CO and he's like, sir, we need to leave. And away they went.
We don't need to be around this. We got to go.
We do not need to be around this at all. So yeah, they left and so we finished that deployment and I came back and I picked up. So while I was deployed, I had put in for orders for my next command once I got back.
Okay.
So I had picked up a security unit down in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually at Whiteman Air Force Base is where we were at. So I had a building. We had weapons at the armory. We had vehicles. And I was a detachment OIC. And there was a detachment there. We had one down in Oklahoma City and one in Tulsa. So, okay, great. So I show up first weekend and they decide, well, I went down there early while I was still on leave and had a planning conference, met the CO, and they decided we're going to do I went down the first weekend in June for my first weekend back and decided we're going to do a weapons shoot. Well, the range was literally like a block and a half away. The armory was across the parking lot next to us. So went over and we checked out weapons. We got our ammo from the ASP, had this all put together. And I'm going through names and I'm looking at this and I put somebody down and one of the guys comes up and says, well, sir, he said, this person can't go to the range. What do you mean it can't go to the range? Well, they can't go to the range. Why? Well, the CO and the XO have said they can't go to the range. Okay. So I grab this and go over to the CO's office and I'm like, hey, ma'am, what's the deal here? Well, he's been deployed and he's got some issues and we just don't think he's stable. But we've taken him to the Air Force Base, to the hospital, and they have said he's fit for full duty. He's fine. And I'm like, okay. She's like, he's just got some issues and he's got some PTS and you know, we just don't want him on a range. Okay. So I walk back to the office, to my office. And as I walk through the door, I see this guy and I recognize him from when I was in Lincoln at the Reserve Center.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the Reserve Center in Lincoln in 07. And when we came back in 08, they closed it down and moved it to Omaha. So 07 was the last time I seen this guy. And this was 2010.
Okay.
So it had been a couple years since I'd seen him. And he looked at me and he goes, are you here now, sir? And I go, yeah, I'm the OIC. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And I looked at him like, all right. I said, do you want to talk? And he's like, yeah. So takes me back. I could take him back into the office. We shut the door. Well, he had deployed with this group previously.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were gone, they asked for people to extend on their deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So he extended, and I don't have all the facts 100%, but they'd moved him up to Iraq. From what he said, they'd moved him up to Iraq, and he was taking supplies out to your special forces guys.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fog of where you're at, you can't trust anybody. So if they say, you know, go to this corner and turn this blinker on and go another block and turn the other direction or whatever, there's certain things you do so that people that you're coming to see know that it's actually you and it's not somebody else. Well, he had screwed some stuff up and he pulled into where he was supposed to pull into. Well, they didn't know it was him for sure. So things happened. I mean, he didn't get drug out, but he got greeted in a manner that we greet our enemies. And so he had gone through some stuff while he was there and had some flashbacks on that. And when he came back, he worked at one of the penitentiaries in the state as a guard. And he said that, you know, he would have an episode and some of the inmates would see him having an episode and actually go over and talk him down.
Wow.
Because they could see he was having a reaction. He was having an issue.
Holy cow.
And he said, he goes, yeah, some of the inmates would come and talk him down. So I asked him, I said, are you going to see help? Are you going to see a counselor? Are you going to the VA? Anything? He's like, oh, well, I'm going to the VA. I said, okay. Are you telling them the truth? Well, no. And I said, well, they can't help you if you don't tell them the truth. And, you deploy, you come back, they ask you questions, you give them the head nod. Oh, yeah, everything's fine, when it's not. But you just nod the head. Yep, everything's good. No problem, no issues, because you don't want to be that person with an issue.
That's right. Yeah.
So we didn't take him on the range. He was great doing weapons maintenance. We didn't take him on the range. The CO had decided he wasn't fit to be on the range. He was okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if he's okay with that, fine. He was getting close to his 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan was they were just going to let him finish out his 20 years and retire.
Right.
And I was like, well, we need to fix him. We screwed him up. We need to fix him.
Mm-hmm.
Which they didn't think. They forced him out, basically. They didn't even let him know anything was coming up. He said he was there one month, and the next month he got, they put his retirement paperwork in for him. So yeah, he hit his 20, and the Reserve Center just gave him his paperwork, and away he went. So he got out. There were some other issues there, but he got out. We went on some different training. That's when I went with this group, and we went up to Washington to Bremerton, or not Bremerton, but Whidbey Island, and we were doing training. Now, all 3 debts were showing up in Whidbey to do this training, but we didn't have any training aids. We didn't have any weapons. All the weapons were at Whiteman. So a couple weeks before that, we actually had to package up all of our weapons, put them in ISO containers, load them on a truck, and have them shipped up to Whidbey so that when we got there, we could do our training.
Okay.
So we did all that. And at that point, the Navy has a course, or had a course. It was called SRFB, Security Reaction Force Basic. So if you were standing security, you had to go through this course to get qualified.
Okay.
And they would give you, how to inspect vehicles, how to inspect personnel, how to take people down and put them on the ground. Just basic tactics, procedures, stuff like that.
Right.
So I was lucky enough, honored enough to go through this course. Well, at the end of the course, you have to get sprayed in the face with pepper spray with OC, and then go through your fight through stations.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know all about that.
So I was the first one that went through, because they're like, well, who's going to go first? And somebody's like, hey, sir, why don't you come on? And I'm like, roger that, lead by example.
Yeah.
If I can't go through it, why should anybody else have to? So I step up, they spray me, and they look at me, and they hold up 2 or 3 fingers, whatever it was. And they're like, how many fingers? And I told them, and they looked at me, and they went, you're one of those. Because I didn't really have any reaction to it.
Wow.
I mean, okay. I got a little bit of a tear, and they spray you right here, eyebrow level, so that it seeps down into your face. Yeah. But they're like, oh, you're one of those. Okay. So go through the fight through stations and stuff, and get to the end, and rinse my face off a little bit. And it still wasn't really bothering me. It was stinging a little bit, but not too bad. So everybody else goes through. I'll get done.
Wait, I got to say, I feel sorry for everybody that went after you, because if it didn't bother you and they're watching, they're like, oh, this isn't going to be bad.
Right? Exactly. So we get through, and, we've got people that are still going through it once I'm done.
Yeah.
So then I start going around, and a couple of us go around that have already been through and are cheering them on. We're rooting them on. We're like, hey, come on, you can do it. You can do it, and so it didn't bother me until I got back to the hotel.
When you showered.
And I took a hot shower. Oh. I was on my knees in the tub going, oh my God.
It's no joke.
It is not.
No joke. Oh my God. Whew.
And it's not the civilian pepper spray.
What's that?
It's not the civilian pepper spray. It's not what you pick up at the gas station to have a little, a little one. It's the hardcore stuff.
Oh yeah. It works.
It does.
On me at least. It worked.
Oh yes. Yes, it does. It will clean your sinuses out.
In a heartbeat.
Yes, it will. Yes. So yeah, we finished that up. We packed everything up there. We did some more exercise stuff up there, and sent everything back to Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of reservists that were basically on back-to-back orders.
Mm-hmm.
I had two staff members that were there, active duty staff members, and so they were there. And then I had a couple reservists that were there, and my CO had come up to me in maybe June or July. And I had gotten there. My first drill weekend was June. So it was like a month or two after. She comes up to me and she goes, hey, do you want to come down here on orders? And I looked at her and I go, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, the XO, which was from Kansas City, so he would come out on orders and just stay out there and stuff. She goes, we need a leadership that's here. We've got 2 first classes out here, but you've got to go to meetings with the general. You've got different things on base that you need to attend, and we really need leadership out here. And I was like, ma'am, I literally just did 2 deployments with a year between them. Mm-hmm. I really don't want to do that. So we agreed upon I would be down there for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I would be home for a week or 2 weeks, and I would be back down there on orders for 2 or 3 weeks. And I did that from June of 10 until through December of 11.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
So yeah, it would be drive down there, be down there for a week or 2 to 3 weeks, do the meetings down there, then drive home, be home for a week or 2, then back down there for drill weekends and everything. But yeah, we were doing stuff all the time.
Wow.
We had all of our weapons. So we had 50s, we had 240s, had Mark 19s, M16s with 203s on them. And they hadn't done a big weapons shoot, a range time, in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So the CO had picked up, the CO and the XO had picked up orders for officer training. So it was, I forget what they call it. But it's like an advanced war college type training.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like going to the war college or what have you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she got orders in Virginia, and the XO had gotten orders in Fort Leavenworth.
Okay.
So they were both out of pocket, but she was still in charge because she had the billet.
Right.
So decided we were going to go to Fort Leavenworth or to Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay.
To do a range shoot,
mm-hmm.
so that we could take all the toys down there and play with them.
Yeah.
So we load up and we go down to Lost in the Woods and get there. We hit the range. Great.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opening weekend of deer season.
Oh. Okay.
So we couldn't shoot the 240 because there had been some fires down there. It was awful dry. And all we had for that was tracer rounds, or Lynx had tracer rounds in it.
Right.
So they wouldn't let us on the 240. We had the Mark 19 and we had chalk rounds for the Mark 19
mm-hmm.
and the 203s. So we could do that. M16s, shotguns, pistols, and the 50.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd been on the range a couple days. Saturday morning, opening day of deer season, I told the guys, I'm like, you guys go out, get the ranges, let me know when they're hot, or call me in when you get there. Call me when they go hot. Let me know what's going on. I'm going to do some paperwork with the other 2 officers from the other 2 detachments. And then we'll come out, you guys get started. Okay.
Yeah.
And I forget how many rounds, but it was 50 cal rounds. We had, I want to say like 5,000 rounds left, which isn't a lot, but it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we had 350s that were up. Well, one went down. So then we were back to 2 and then ended up having an issue with another one. So they got it working again, but it was down for a while. So we were down to 1 round or 150 trying to go through these rounds. We had 6 barrels. We were swapping between barrels. We had them laying there so that we could go through and so I called to ask how the 50 range was going. Well, it's down, sir. I go, what do you mean it's down? Well, it's down. Why? Well, range control lets somebody go down range from that area and they're deer hunting and they don't know where they're at. So one of the chiefs comes over and picks me up and I go to range control. I walk into range control and I'm not very happy because we're there that day and the next day everybody's leaving.
Yeah.
I'm staying for an extra day to turn brass in with one of the other guys. We're staying an extra day so that we can turn all our brass in, clear the ranges, everything on Monday. So we can't open the 50 up, and they've been out there since like 7. Because the one thing that the CO had put out, I don't want you guys shooting after dark. So from sun up to sundown, you can shoot. Other than that, you can't. Okay. Again, we had plenty of time to do it, but now the range is down. I go into range control, and I'm like, hey, who's the idiot that let somebody down in this area here? And the guy's like, well, sir, that was me. I'm like, why? We had the range reserved. We were here. We were here yesterday. You let somebody down. I go, where's he at? Well, we don't know. We've been trying to get a hold of him. They've got Game and Parks out looking for him.
Oh, jeez.
So I may have been using my outside voice inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And explaining how stupid he was. And so, you know, we got hunters coming in to check in on areas that they can check into. And this one guy's like, what are you doing here, sir? And I'm like, well, some idiot let somebody in this area. And he goes, well, I said, we're trying to get the 50 cal range up and they're in this. He goes, well, that's right in line with the 50 cal range. I'm like, yeah, I know that, you know that. And the idiot that's here running the range should have known that, but he didn't because he's an idiot. And so it was like noon before they found the guy. The guy wasn't even out there. He had land outside of the base that he had permission to hunt on. Well, he had went there and came to the base and got permission for that section. And then he went into town and had breakfast. He wasn't even out there.
Oh, no.
So it was about noon before they opened the range up. And then we had to burn through all that ammo because you can't turn it back in. I mean, it's more of a headache to turn it back in than it is to just burn it. So the only thing we had to turn in was the 240 ammo because
you didn't even break it out then.
No, we didn't break that out.
Easy transition then.
Yeah, it was an easy transition, but we had to ship it. It had to be shipped back to Whiteman from Leonardwood.
Right.
So, yeah, that was an interesting time. So the new command, that command got rolled up into a Mesron. So that was a security detachment, and they decided to put the water side and the land side together. So that was a land side security, and the Mesron was a water side. So it had the small boats. We had the sea or the land side. So they decided to put those together, morph those together. And it became Mesron 11.
Okay.
And somebody in their infinite wisdom decided that the coin for Mesron 11 which they had the commissioning ceremony on September 11th of 2011.
Okay.
Or no, yeah, 2010. Commissioning was 2010
Mhm.
of that unit. But they decided that they were going to have this coin, and on the back of the coin, they had the Twin Towers in flames.
What?
Yes. The picture of the towers, both in flames, was the back of this coin that said, "Never forget."
Wow. Okay. I wouldn't have even thought to do that.
And for the next episode, I'll show you that coin.
All right. Holy cow.
It does not look like it did originally.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that is the most disrespectful thing you could do. So I took the coin, and one of my sailors needed to go qualify. So he had an AR-15, same difference. We went to an open range. I took a range safety officer with us.
Mm-hmm.
Went out to this civilian range, not a big deal, 25 yards, open sights, just to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
So he qualified, and I'm like, "Hey, can I see that?" He's like, "Yeah." So I put a target up, and I was low and to the left, and I was low and to the left, but I was consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the coin, and I took one of the big black paper clips. I took it down, and I put it on top of the backstop.
Okay.
And I went back, and I was like, well, I was low and to the left and low and to the left. So if I go high and to the right, just a little bit of Kentucky windage there, and I one shot. And I walked down, and I hit that thing almost dead center.
Nice.
And mushroomed the picture of the towers out.
Okay.
And at that point, then I was like, you know what? I can display this coin.
Yeah. Very cool.
We had gone out to Long Beach because the command, the headquarters for the command of the Mesron
Mhm.
was at Long Beach, or at Seal Beach, which is the ammo piers for the Navy out there.
Oh, okay.
So just south, or right there around Long Beach.
Mhm.
But so we go out there. They decide we're going to do this exercise because we're on the schedule for deployment, and we've got to, get the land side and the water side working together. So they send us out to the Navy pier in Long Beach.
Mhm.
They've got an active duty component, and all of the boat units are all local to Long Beach. So they've got plenty of people out there that they can get a hold of to come out. Well, they decided they didn't want to spend their people over at the piers setting tents up. So I fly out a day early. My guys get there. I literally have my guys getting off the plane, not even checking into their hotels, and going to the pier to start setting up the environment because nothing's set up for us, and we're supposed to move into the tents the next day.
Wow.
So we go through this whole exercise. The bad guys come and they make us retreat from the pier and out of our little camp, and showing how we're going to get out. So we get out, and the bad guys were at the front gate with golf clubs.
Okay.
And they were chanting with golf clubs, right? So
They were
we
protesting against golf.
yeah, they were protesting. They were bad. They were going to hurt us. Whatever. So we evacuate out through the back gate. And everybody that's there to inspect us, they're like, "Oh, you guys did such a great job," and they're giving the morale boost. And I had turned around and I looked at the front of the camp.
Mhm.
Well, the one thing they forgot was the flag. So they left the American flag up at the front of the camp, and they ran for the back gate and never took the flag down.
Ooh,
So as everybody's at the back getting all these attaboys and stuff, I'm irritated. So everybody's getting attaboys. Oh, everything's great. This is all good. So I'm like, hey, can I talk to everybody? Yeah. You know, what do you got, sir? So I want everybody to turn around and look. Tell me what's wrong. And so they look up there and somebody's like, well, what? And I said, well, our flag is still up and you guys retreated. You guys ran. I said, so if we're in the Middle East, which is where we're supposed to be going, and the bad guys just overran the camp, I said, they're taking video and pictures, taking a crap on that flag and burning it about how they chased the Americans out of their base and they took over. And the dumb Americans left their flags up. I said, do you know how many men and women have died for that flag? And you left it? And I had people standing there in tears.
Oh, geez.
Because they realized, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is real. So we did a little more training, and the CO of that Mesron came to me one day, and he's like, hey, are you going to deploy with us? And so in the reserves, you technically have a 1 in 5. So for every month you're deployed, you got 5 months that you're technically in a non-deployable status.
So say that one more time.
So for every month that you're deployed, so if you're deployed for a year, you basically have a 5-year window where they're not supposed to, unless you're in a highly regarded or a highly sought after skill set or whatever, but you've got a 5 years of sanctuary or
where you don't have to deploy.
Where you don't have to deploy.
Got you. Okay. I'm trying.
So I had deployed 07 to 08. I came back, I deployed 9 to 10. And this is in 2011. He's asking me this. So technically I don't need to go, but you know, it's my guys.
Yeah.
So looks at me, he goes, well, do you want to go? And I was like, well, I said, let me ask the wife. So I call the wife, ask her, like, what are your thoughts? And she goes, well, what do you think? And I said, I think the chain of command's a bunch of idiots. And I don't know that they're capable of taking care of the sailors that are going with them. She goes, well, you do what you need to do. So I walked back in and I looked at him and I said, well, sir, I said, because I don't think your wardroom's smart enough to take care of the junior sailors. Yeah, I'll go with you to make sure they're taken care of. He looks at me and he goes, okay, thanks. Yes.
Wow.
I didn't realize I was calling him an idiot as well. So, and I know it hasn't been that many years and he's still around and I really don't care if he sees this or not, because I'll tell him to his face. But, so I deploy. Well, before we deployed, we did another workup. We went out to San Clemente Island.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So they had the boat side and they had the land side. And we had our little camp up there and, you know, they're going to attack us and we've got all the threat intel and stuff. Well, we had the deputy from NECC, which is Naval Expeditionary Combat Command.
Okay.
So the CBs, anybody that's going boots on the ground, your security forces, all of that stuff, all underneath of that. So it's the Green Navy vice the Blue Navy. So the deputy comes out and he wants to do a tour where we're doing this exercise on San Clemente. So he comes out. So now we've got to have a PDS or PSD, personal security detachment for him. So during the exercise, we walk in, him and I walk into one of the tents and the evaluators are standing there thinking this is going to be great because I just walked in with the Admiral. And I looked at him and I said, no, don't. And the senior chief that was in charge of the evaluators and the master chief that was there with me started giggling like a couple of schoolgirls. And they're like, oh no, you're staying. And I seen them working on somebody that was over on a council and they were putting on like a chest wound. So I'm like, nope. I said, Admiral, are you ready to go? And they're like, oh, no. You need to stick around in here for a little bit. So we hear this bang. And I take the Admiral, I jump on him, cover him up, throw him under the desk. I'm like, get down, get down, get down, cover him up. And the Admiral's like, what just happened? He has no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And pretty soon the senior chief is laughing and he's like, let him up. And I'm like, okay. So I let him up. And the Admiral looks and goes, what just happened? And they're like, well, sir, you know, there was celebratory fire outside, and a stray round came through and hit this guy at this council. And so, you know, Commander Gross put you on the ground and actually did that by the book. And if he wouldn't have done that, they would have failed their security detachment.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, oh, well, thank you very much. You know, and
thanks for throwing me on the ground.
yeah. So, as we got there, we had the boat guys and the landside guys all together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had them at a big gym. They were doing their in briefing, you know, what was going to happen, kind of scenario, the background.
Right.
Well, I'd been deployed twice. I came home with 2 less people than I went with.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked if I could have a moment to make this real for everybody. And the CEO's like, well, yeah, you know, whatever you want to do. Okay. Well, I've got a funeral home that's a half a block from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone over and got a body bag.
Mm.
So I've got 200-300 people standing in this gym all around listening to this. Hoorah, let's go. Hoorah. So after the debacle at the Navy Pier in Long Beach, this is our next training. So I've got everybody lined up there. And I'm like, well, what would you like to say? And I just walked up and I said, I need 6 volunteers. And of course, nobody volunteers. So I picked 6 people out of the crowd randomly. I'm like, step forward, 3 on each side. And I stood in the center and I took this body bag and I rolled it out onto the floor. I'm like, now pick it up. And they reached down and they pick it up. And I said, we are in a training environment. So if you do something stupid and you get killed over here during the training environment, you know, after that scenario is done, omnius omnius, you know, you come back to life.
Mm-hmm.
I go, when we go forward, if you screw something up, I send you home in one of these in a metal box with a flag draped over it to your family. And everybody was just kind of like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. And after everybody broke, the senior chief that was in charge of training came up to me and he goes, I have never in my life seen somebody do that. He goes, but you made it real to them.
Yeah.
And I go, we may not be on the front line, but things can happen wherever we're at.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, shit goes south. Guess what? That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that was a unique training experience, shall we say,
Yeah.
to bring them into reality.
I mean, it's a I don't know. It's a pretty smart way to get them to focus, right? And to just kind of really see that, hey, yeah, there may be fun in games and we may be doing this, but this is reality, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And during the mass exercise at the end of that training evolution, you know, they threw in talcum powder, which was supposed to be I forget what chemical agent it was supposed to be, but this is what it is. Okay. And, you know, you're all supposed to have your gas masks on and stuff. Well, I've got people coking and joking. I mean, they're not coking and joking, but they're not putting their masks on. They're not really getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
Set up on top of Connex boxes for, you know, points. And I get up on this Connex box and this kid's sitting there and there's an evaluator sitting next to him. And I just start screaming at him to get his damn mask on. And the evaluator stops and looks at me and he goes, you're taking this serious. I said, yes. I said, my job is to train these individuals and to take them home to their families, to train them, to do a job, take them forward, do a job, and take them back to their family.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I'm here for. I'm not here to be their friend. I'm not here to be their drinking buddy. I'm here to take them home. That's my job. Get the mission done and take them home.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
So then
shoot.
we, what's,
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, and, you know, like you said, reservists have their place,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't do it on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah.
So they get lackadaisical in what things really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those that have never deployed.
Right.
And, you know, it's like the VFW and the American Legion, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. I should be able to have a bad day and walk into a VFW and not be judged for my worst day.
Right.
If I walk into a Legion, I've got a 50-50 chance of being judged. And it's nothing against the Legion. It's that you've got members that have been deployed that are members of the Legion, because that's what Dad was. That's what was local to him. There was a local Legion. There wasn't a local VFW. So they joined it. And nothing against that. But you've also got those that never deployed. And so when I'm having a bad day, when I'm dealing with my losses, and I walk in and I'm having that bad day, if I walk into a VFW, what should happen, and it doesn't happen all the time, but what should happen is somebody say, "Hey man, you all right? Let's talk. You want to drink? You want to just sit here and vent? Oh yeah, we close at noon, but guess what? You're still having a bad day. Guess what? Let's sit here until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Whatever we need to do to get you in a better headspace and get you in a better direction."
Mm-hmm.
And the Legion doesn't always have that. They do sometimes, but they don't always.
Yeah.
And that's your deployed and non-deployed.
That's a good way of looking at it. I've never thought of it that way, though.
Yeah, and it's like I said, nothing against the Legion, because they're a great bunch of guys and a lot of them have deployed.
Mm-hmm.
But you just it's two different mentalities.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good point, man. Very good point. Holy cow.
So then during that, I end up with a being part of a veterans motorcycle club back in Nebraska. It was good. Had a good time there for a while. And then not so much. But now as we were getting ready to deploy, we left wherever we were at in February, showed up to go through our processing, a little bit of training, and then boots on the ground time. But showed up in February. Well, on the 5th of January, which happened to be my aunt's birthday, they had passed away the previous June from cancer. The guy that was in the club, a veteran, Army vet, had cancer, and I had spent part of the last 6 months taking him to and from cancer appointments. And getting down, he was on hospice in his house. The night of the 5th, he ended up passing away in my arms. He had planned a going away party for me and a birthday party for me on Saturday. And this was a Thursday night. Thursday night he passed.
Oh wow.
On the 3rd, one of my classmates had posted on Facebook that she couldn't believe she made it to 40. And I was like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" She's like, "Something's not right." I said, "Okay." So Mike passes away on the 5th. We do his funeral on Monday. And I'm packing my stuff up because I'm going to get on my motorcycle and go to California, because our workups start in February through April, May timeframe, and then we deploy.
Right.
So I wanted wheels out there. So I was going to ride my bike out there and have my bike out. So do that. And on Thursday or on Friday before I left, so it would have been I think the 13th, I get a phone call from my guys in Kansas City. It says, "Hey, sir, you need to call Doc's dad." Why do I need to call Doc's dad? Well, one of my sailors had gotten word on Wednesday that he was going to be deploying with us. He was going through a crappy divorce. The wife had drawn it out for over a year. And him and a buddy went out drinking on Thursday night or Wednesday night, and they were moving snow Thursday morning. So they moved snow and they went to the bar to have a few drinks to celebrate him going on this deployment. He got into a altercation and they got kicked out of the bar. Cops ended up showing up and taking him home. Took him and his roommate home. They're like, hey, we can take you to the drunk tank. We can take you home. Took him home. And he pulled his pistol on his roommate. His roommate got away from him, called 911. Cop showed up. Doc walks out with what I'm told, a long rifle or a long gun. I don't know if it's a shotgun, rifle, doesn't matter. Long gun. And he's talking to one officer. Another one hollers at him. He turns in that direction, and one of the officers shoots him.
Oh, geez.
So shoots him in the hip, ricochets off his hip, up through a body cavity, kills him.
Oh, no.
So it was a police-involved shooting, so they've got to wait a couple days. I reach out to my headquarters and say, hey, this is what happened, because I was supposed to be leaving that day to go to California.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to cancel my orders. I'm going to reschedule them for later. Okay. So I said, are you guys going to come back and do the funeral? And my CO's response was, well, he's your guy. You take care of it. So I put the unit together, pulled the unit together. We went down on Wednesday for the funeral, and buried him. And his wife was still his wife. They hadn't gotten divorced yet.
Ooh.
Even though they'd gone through this long rigmarole. So probably shouldn't say this on here, but I'm going to, because there was a reason I did it. We folded the flag, and I went to present it to her because she was still legally his wife. He had a young child, and I was not in the mood for it. So she had been all stoic, just sitting there, letting everything happen like nothing was bothering her. And I bent down to present it and made eye contact with her. Once I got eye contact with her, she just lost it. And just it all hit. And so when I stood up, I said a little comment to him as I made a last salute. And I was like, brother, if the last thing I can do is make her realize what she did, there you go. And dropped my salute and turned around and walked away.
Wow.
So that's how we get started in 2012.
Oh my gosh. If that's how you're getting started, 2012 is going to be a rough year.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, with that, then I guess we can end this one and we'll just schedule another.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks again for doing this. I truly
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I always enjoy hearing your stories. You're a great storyteller. So, it keeps me interested and excited whenever you come on. So I appreciate it. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988 press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net. Click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. Dan cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with, ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, Dan, one last time, man. Thanks. Truly appreciate it. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.